of you would pay money to see Jamil King in the intro? I mean, this man is vibing whenever the music comes on. But everybody, welcome back to GM's Live here on the Coast to Coast Network. My name's Will Polston. Alongside with me, Jamil King and Matthew Perry, who you probably recognize from previous episodes. But today, number 4 in GM's For Hire is also here. We've got RJ Strope. So the whole gang is with us. And we got plenty to talk about here. First off, actually going to kick off with some breaking news. Thanks to Matt Perry. Matt, can you take us through a little bit what you just saw come through on your phone?
Yeah, so trade alert as we head towards the trade deadline in Major League Baseball. The Atlanta Braves have acquired Jock Peterson from the Cubs in exchange for prospect Bryce Ball.
So is it just the 1-for-1? Does it say anything else about anything? It just says Bryce Ball and Jock Peterson.
According to the Braves press release, it's a 1-for-1.
Wow. Okay. So I don't know too much about Bryce Ball off the top of my head. I might have to look him up a little bit. But RJ, resident Braves fan, welcome to GM's Live. We get to start off with you a little hot. Take us through a little bit of your opinion. You just added Jock Peterson, so take us through your mindset on the trade.
Yeah, man. I honestly was not expecting that. Everybody knows Ronald Acuna just a few days ago tore his ACL. He's going to be out for the year and probably the beginning of next year. I really expected Atlanta to just kind of hang out, not really do anything at the trade deadline. I figured they would just kind of sit and be like, you know what, look, this year didn't go the way we want it to go, but look, next year we're going to have a good squad. People should be healthy, Soroka and Acuna. I figured they would start looking to next year, but them going out and getting Jock Peterson to put in the outfield, man, are they kind of going for it? I mean, not really. Obviously, it's not a huge move. It's not like we're not talking about, Jock Peterson from a few years ago. We're talking about present Jock Peterson. But, man, I honestly did not expect Atlanta to make any kind of move at all. I figured they would just kind of stand pat, just kind of ride this season out, finish it out, re-sign Freddie Freeman, and look into 2022. But, hey, here we go. This does also to me say that all these rumors about the Cubs potentially cleaning house, I think this might just be the first step. So I think the Cubs are going to be very busy.
Hey, another Braves fan in the comment section on the YouTube. Shout out Scott Baker watching live on YouTube at GM's for Hire. He's saying that he's not mad about the trade. I don't blame you there. Jock Peterson's a decent addition. And shout out Brandon Herrera on the Facebook saying, what's up, GMs? What's going on, Brandon? And he also said that he fully expects his Twins to have a good old garage sale. Everybody must go. Hopefully. I mean, hey, if that's what you want from your team, that's what you want from your team. But no, actually, speaking of that, RJ, you make a great point because the Cubs have been talking for a while that they are sell now. They are get rid of everyone. And it seems like this could be domino number 1. I mean, they've got a lot of good pieces. Obviously, they have Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant. They've got other players on the market that could easily find free agency here in a couple years and could find their way moving on. So this wasn't exactly how we were going to start the show today, but I think now is a good time to talk about it. So I guess we could go through the Cubs. Obviously, the Cubs at a point had a pretty substantial losing streak, and now they're dealing in Jock Peterson. Matt, I'll ask you, do you think that the Cubs are a little bit overreacting right now when it comes to the sell now issue, or do you think the Cubs are on the right track to start getting rid of some players?
No, I think being sellers makes a lot of sense here. You have several stars in contract years, Bryant, Rizzo. I know Baez, if it's not this year, it's next year. And where they are in this division that's tighter than you would think. I mean, it's getting less tight by the day, though. They were in first at one point. Brewers got hot. They got ice cold. The Cubs have lost 8 of their last 10. Then they now sit 8 games back, tied for third with the Cardinals. And it's not looking any better. I think at this point in the season, you're 2 games below 500. You should kind of plan ahead. Them acquiring Bryce Ball, who's a first baseman. I'm not sure where he is right now on his minor league path, but from off the top of my head, I think he should be a major league player within the next year or two. So does this kind of plan ahead in case Rizzo leaves? It could. Honestly, I think it's good thinking ahead by the Cubs, and I really don't blame them for selling.
Now, I went and looked him up. Bryce Ball currently in rookie ball, if this is the right. At high A. He is currently in high A playing. Currently, right now, in high A ball, only batting 207, and 6 home runs out of 35 hits. He's slugging only 396. So really, honestly, off to a hellacious start. Definitely underperforming. So we'll see exactly what the move is. Obviously, with Jock Peterson, he's not on a crazy deal. If I'm not mistaken, he's only on a 1-year contract, though. I think he only signed a 1-year deal with Chicago. So maybe just a rental piece, and maybe the Braves are looking ahead towards the Mets. Jamil, give me your breakdown on the trade.
Yeah, I don't mind the trade either from both sides. Obviously, the Braves lost Acuna. You want to get a little more pop in the lineup. It's not a crazy trade. You're not dealing any of your top prospects. You get a good bat to stay in the lineup so you can try to chase down the Mets from the Cubs perspective. I think it's the right move. If you know you're not going to re-sign the guys, you got to get what you can out of them. I expect them to move Bryant for sure, probably Rizzo. And like Matt was saying, Baez is up next year. They can either deal him or they can pick him to build around and build the future core around Javier Baez.
Now, everybody that's watching right now, we have more than 10 people watching live between YouTube and Facebook. So thank you all for coming and joining. Definitely love having you here. Leave in the comment section if you think the Cubs should be selling everybody right now. Give us your opinion. Do you think this is a great trade for the who do you think walked away with this trade as a winner? Braves walking away with Jock Peterson, Cubs getting Bryce Ball back in return. I do have a question right here from Brandon Herrera. Sorry about that. That's my timer for dinner, which is already done. We actually got a ton of comments starting to flow in right here. Brandon says, who do you all think is going to sell first, Baltimore or Arizona? And I think I can answer this first. Shout out Joanne, who said hello, Brandon, and hello, GMs. I think I can almost answer this first to who's Baltimore going to get rid of? Who on their team is going to move? Because Cedric Mullins, I don't see a reason why you'd ever get rid of him. Trey Mancini, don't see a reason why you'd get rid of him. Maybe last year before, obviously before unfortunate the cancer. There were talks of him about him getting dealt. But right now, I just don't see a world in where he does get moved. It's almost too good of a story, and it's almost like the Baltimore pride. Or the pride of Baltimore is Trey Mancini. But now I could still see Ketel Marte getting moved. And I don't know about you guys, but I think that would probably be a name that I could see getting moved pretty quick, or definitely at least before the trade deadline. Jamil, let me get your opinions. Who moves on first from some players, Baltimore or Arizona?
Definitely with you with the way you're talking about Baltimore. How many guys do they have that aren't going to be there for the long rebuild that they're having? You mentioned Cedric Mullins. He's definitely a centerpiece of that team that they want to go moving forward. So over there in Arizona, obviously you have a guy like Ketel Marte. He's going to gather a lot of attention from a lot of different teams. I know Matt wants him to be in pinstripes, but a switch hitting player that can play, he plays center field, plays outfield, but if you really need him, so he could probably step somewhere else. If you absolutely needed it, you'd send him to an American League team. He can DH. I think there's definitely going to be a lot of teams interested in him at the deadline.
RJ, same thought process?
Yeah, I agree. Baltimore, I really don't see a reason for them to have some kind of big fire sale because, like you mentioned, I don't really think they have a lot of players that would garner a bunch of trade attention. So Baltimore, they just kind of got to ride this thing out. Arizona has a couple nice pieces. Of course, Ketel Marte is a big one. I think he'll get a lot of attention. I definitely think Arizona is going to sell first.
Matt, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, Arizona, they have to be selling. I don't see any reason for Baltimore to sell. Build around Mullins, build around Mancini, help Mountcastle develop, wait for Adley to come up, and you might have something together if you grab a couple pitching pieces. For the Diamondbacks, plenty of good trade candidates. Ketel Marte, as mentioned, Eduardo Escobar, Asdrubal Cabrera is a good one. Caleb Smith, he can sometimes start. He can even come out of the pen if you need him to. There are plenty of options in Arizona for the trade block, and some good moves could be made. And if Arizona plays their cards right, they could be set up pretty well for the future if the fire sale goes to plan.
Oh, Matt, I got a comment down here on Facebook, and I know this is your guy, so I got to let you talk about it. Do teams call the Angels for Ohtani? If you are the Angels, what would your asking price be? Matt, take the floor.
Ohtani's not for sale. He's now the face of baseball over your other great player, Mike Trout. You're going to want to build around them. This, Brandon, I don't know if this was bait or not. This is a crazy question to even ask. Ohtani's not for sale. What would the asking price be? Probably your favorite team's best 3 players and their mascot, at least 3.
Let me get the mascot in the outfield.
Let me get your 3 best players, your 2 top prospects, your mascot, and your best vendor. I need to hear that beer call from across the stadium. Yeah, there's no way Ohtani would even get moved if they call. And even as soon as they say Shohei Ohtani, who's the Angels GM? Billy Epler, maybe? Yeah, I'm hanging up. There's really no reason to even listen to it because the only guy I could see being in a fair trade for him is Mike Trout, and you already got him. So really, there's no point in that.
Hey, the amount of prospects and or players you'd get back for him is a buttload, but I don't know what team has that kind of inventory just hanging around. But
we do.
You don't have nothing.
Your star
we
player
would be able to put a realistic package to get him, but you would never get traded.
Well, you're talking Wander and Vidal, and you're talking all your prospects. Is that what you're doing?
You could do it.
Maybe Wander, Vidal, Shane Baz. I mean, you put enough together. I mean, maybe. But.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Glasnow, Meadows, Arozarena, Baz and Wander, Raymond, and the guy in section 118, and the Angels might be talking. But I still
that guy was really good.
I still like that.
Hey, he said, fair answer, Matt. No, it was not bait. Maybe he was just actually curious. And we have our resident Mets fan in the comment section on the YouTubes. Since we're talking about the trade deadline,
that's my guy. That's my guy right there.
Big old Salvador. He said he wants to know who the Mets, who we think the Mets should have at the top of their target list. Now, maybe not talk a player right away, but let's talk position. Are we thinking that right now? I think whenever I'm looking at the Mets, their pitching staffs. I mean, you got Jacob deGrom, great. You got Taijuan Walker, all-star, great. Marcus Stroman could have been an all-star, which would have been great. I don't think starting pitching is anywhere where they need to look. I think they're pretty set up. I mean, I know they haven't been exactly too excited about James McCann, but you did just lock him up the first season. There's going to be some iffy things here and there. Maybe go get some bullpen help, but I don't know which bullpen arms are available. Off the top of my head, I don't know who exactly would be getting moved unless the Cubs really, really want to go all out. Go get you a Craig Kimbrell.
Kimbrell's on the block, yeah.
Kimbrell could be amazing.
Caleb Smith on the Diamondbacks.
Caleb Smith would be a nice addition. I'm sure there's a couple of relievers in there. In fact, it says that Brandon says that there's strong rumors between the Mets and the Twins that they're talking over Josh Donaldson. Maybe that's an addition. What was that, Jamil?
I seen that they're trying to talk about upgrading third base, and I also saw that they might be in another starter because they were going Cole Hamels. He had a little showcase, so I think I'm interested in one more starting pitcher. And if they can make the money work around Donaldson, I mean that'd be nice for them, their lineup. I mean I know they want to go all in, so I don't think money is really any issue for them at the moment.
Go get Kyle Gibson. What's he doing?
Yeah.
That's just a guy I want to see on a different team. I really want to see him away from Texas. But enough of the trade deadline. Shout out to the 10 people still here. You guys are awesome. It seems like we're retaining a pretty good audience today. So shout out to y'all. We want to hear your opinions on everything. We want to hear your questions. Make sure you guys are leaving those in the comment section, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. Love having you guys, but we're going to hop into these 4 rule changes coming up with the CBA. Obviously, 2022 will be the new CBA for the MLB, and there is a lot of rule changes being discussed. Right now, I think we need to start with the hottest one, which always is a debate, always has the most ground. And I think no matter if you're a casual fan, whether you watch every single game, I think everybody has a strong opinion on this. And that is the implementation of universal DH. Now, the top row up here, we're both National League fans. The bottom row down there, both American League fans. Matt and I even have a video up on our YouTube channel where we discuss this and where we definitely need to revisit it because it was one of our original videos. It's not. Don't
you don't have to go look at it.
If you're here right now, just watch this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so not exactly the greatest video, but we learned from it. I think we already know. I know where Matt stands on this, so I'm going to start with RJ first. RJ, the universal DH, as a Braves fan, do you want to see the DH spot implemented in the National League?
Yes, absolutely. Look, baseball is doing all that they can. They are trying all these new rules. They're trying this. They're trying that. They want people to watch the sport. They want, runs. They want people to have fun. They want, the game to be better. Well, what is better than more hitting? Pitchers can't hit. All right. Outside of, I think, Clayton Kershaw, I think Zach Greinke can hit. There's a couple of them that can hit. But for the most part, pitchers are going to go up there, and more times than not, it's an automatic out. So why wouldn't you want another guy who can actually hit a ball up there to put more runs on the board and put more fans watching your product? This would go against everything baseball has been saying if they still want pitchers to be hitting. It makes no sense to me. You want more runs. You want a more fun product. You want things like that. You're going to have a DH in both leagues. I think that's the smart move. I know y'all are divided on it, but to me, the universal DH is a no-brainer, honestly.
Opinions?
Oh, thanks. I agree with RJ. I think the universal DH definitely needs to be applied. I don't like the injury factor that pitchers have when they're hitting to begin with. Obviously, some can hit, but for the majority of the time, like RJ said, they're not going to get hits. And I think it's better for the game as well. You have a guy that can only DH like back in the day, David Ortiz, present day Nelson Cruz. You're limiting them this time with 15 teams in the league. You open it up now, all 30 teams can go after a guy like this. So I think it helps the players too at the end of the day.
All right, Matt, you too.
I imagine if a National League team, any National League team in a World Series, any of these past years had a designated hitter for their home games. I mean, teams with that ability have an advantage over teams that don't. I get it's an even playing field when you are the home team against an AL team, but the added offense that can be brought to a team like the Mets, who oftentimes struggle for runs when their ace is out there, Jacob deGrom. If they had another bat in his spot, even though deGrom hits well and is somehow one of their better hitters, it can really add something to an offense. So I don't understand why anybody would be against universal DH. I know it could be fun seeing pitchers hit, but almost 90 times out of 100, it really doesn't lead to anything, and it's an injury risk, like Jamil said, and there really isn't enough positives to override the negatives. I see Brandon in the comments. He said he voted no on the DH rule. You're a Twins fan, so it's never going to apply to you. But imagine it did. Imagine you have to go watch J Happ get 2-3 at bats in a game instead of Nelson Cruz. I mean, it's going to hurt the offense. It's going to hurt you as a fan because you're going to have to watch that shit show. It's not fun. So I understand it, I guess, but I don't. I really don't. There's too many positives compared to the negative.
What world are we in where somebody with Nelson Cruz on their team doesn't want a universal DH? I think you have the universal DH. You have the guy. But no, honestly, back in the day, I said no. I said no to the DH. And I wanted – I don't know why. I was just hung up on pitchers. I really wanted pitchers to bat. It's moments like Bartolo Colon taking James Shields' yard that makes it all worth it. It's moment like that relief pitcher hitting a Grand Ole Opry, shout out Matt Perry, against Max Scherzer the other day that make it worth it. But also, I don't need it. The Cardinals, in my case, we don't really have too many great players on the bench. I would argue, Matt would say Matt Carpenter. I am not for that. But we don't have a DH per se, but we also don't look for it because we're the National League team. Obviously, if that was a case where you could have it, I could see where us going after one. But I'm all for the DH after watching it last year. Even if we had Matt Carpenter and he wasn't performing very well, again, it was just something we weren't ready for. So it was something that we didn't necessarily have in the bag. Now, if teams got to prepare for that and everything, I think it'd go a lot more smooth. But I think the offense was proven that it went more successful last year. And I think we're going to see an implementation of the universal DH here in the upcoming CBA. I think that's quite obvious. Brandon Herrera said, "I'm old school. Again, I won't be upset if they add the DH to the NL." And I don't think many people will be upset. I don't think pitchers are going to be upset about it because it limits the injury risk. And I think a lot of players, and now, again, like Jamil said, you have those players such as a Nelson Cruz. You have those players, trying to think of some other ones. But there are players that can quite literally only hit. And that's about their only upside. And you're going to be getting rid of that if you add it to the National League, or you're going from 15 available teams to 30. And I think that would help out a lot more. Now on to the next topic that the CBA is bringing up, the Texas tiebreaker, runner on second to start extra innings. We've seen it implemented last year during the COVID season. Shout out Mickey Mouse year. The Dodgers are still fake. But anyway, runner starts on second in extra innings, and happens for both teams. You have a chance to bring that runner in. This is one that I think more people may be a little bit more hot on than some others think. I'm gonna start off with Jamil first. Jamil, Texas tiebreaker, runner on second. What you think?
I'm gonna go with no, but not like completely no. What I think should happen is I think instead of a runner on second, I think they should put him on first. I think it's stupid that you start off with a runner in scoring position. I think if you want to start off with a runner, it should be on first base. I understand the premise of it. Obviously, it's work to cut down the extra inning games. I think we've only had 2 go past 13 or 14, so it's worked in that aspect. But I just think the runner shouldn't be on second base. That's my problem with the rule.
Fair enough. I'll move over to RJ. RJ, your opinion, having the runner start at second?
I don't like that at all. I think it's a gimmick, honestly. It's not real baseball. The first 9 innings of the game, or 7, I know we're going to get to that, you don't start the inning with a guy on base. So now all of a sudden you go to extra innings and you're going to play a completely different game. That's stupid to me. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. So, no, I think it's just really gimmicky. I get it. You don't want games to drag on. I know that World Series game a few years back when the Dodgers and Red Sox went like 18 innings, that was awful. It was hard to watch. I know y'all love baseball. Maybe y'all liked it, but I like baseball. It was awful. I could not watch that whole game. So I know they wanted to cut down on stuff like that, and it's worked. Like Jamil said, there's only been a couple games that have gone past 13 or 14 innings, but it's just gimmicky. It's not real baseball, and I don't think it's necessary. I don't think you need it.
Matt?
I'm not a fan of the Texas tiebreaker. Never have been. I probably never will be. Like RJ said, or whoever said it, it's not real baseball. Ghost runners are something you use as a kid when you don't have enough players to put someone on. If they're going to keep it, push it back. I want it after the 12th inning, preferably. Give them a couple innings to naturally get it done. And if they're like, yeah, this is dragging on, we'll finish it with the ghost runner. I don't mind when games go long. I think it's a special thing in not only baseball but sports alone. When the Lightning went 5 overtimes in hockey, there was nothing unwatchable about it. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, as tired as I was. I think it's really fun to see who cracks first, and I think it adds something to the game, an intensity, whether it's a regular season game or a Stanley Cup final. It's something I enjoy. So I personally am not for the Texas tiebreaker because I like seeing games go long potentially, and I like seeing natural walk-offs earning that run rather than kind of it's a Mickey Mouse run. Really.
You're not wrong there. Here we go. Brandon Herrera down there in the comment section as well. The extra runner sucks. Now Matt has a point. Maybe do it maybe after the 13th or the 14th inning. Maybe you're looking into something there. And I was actually going to ask you guys, is there a limit in which, maybe not start right away in the 10th inning, but if say we do it normally, we do a normal game, and maybe if we get to inning 12 or inning 13, maybe add that runner. RJ, what are your thoughts on that?
So Yeah. All right. So Matt mentioned the Lightning going 5 overtimes and how that was a great game and this and that. I like baseball. Again, I'm not trying to sit here and, take a dump on y'all's favorite sport, but baseball and hockey are not the same. An overtime game that goes long in hockey is a lot more watchable than an 18-inning slow baseball game. I know it was a World Series game. I know those are the two of the biggest teams, biggest markets that the sport has to offer, but that game in particular was unwatchable. Now, if it was going long and it was, just more entertaining, then it's not unwatchable. Hockey, on the other hand, I mean, you got guys slamming up against the ice. You got these missed shots or the block shots, stuff like that. It's a lot more like fast-paced. It's easier to watch. So comparing the Lightning 5 overtime game to baseball, that's what I meant by that. I don't mean that long games suck because as a college football fan, a few years ago, Texas A&M and LSU played a 7 overtime game, and it was awesome. I mean, you're on the edge of your seat. It was fantastic, and because of that game, college football implemented a rule where I think starting what is it now after the 3rd or 4th overtime, Jamil, it's not real football. It's just 2-point conversions, and the first team
something like
2-point conversion. Trust me, I know because I watched North Carolina lose to Virginia Tech on that stupid rule a couple years ago. They had a long game. They came down to 2-point conversions. So I like the idea of waiting till, after like the 12th or 13th inning to start with the little Mickey Mouse Ghost Runner deal. But, let's give them a little more time to try to figure it out and do it the right way, like Matt said. College football does the same thing. I think soccer does the same thing. You get extra time. If extra time doesn't work, then you do the little Mickey Mouse penalty kicks. But you got to let them do it the right way first. And if you still can't get it done, then that's when you got to step in and be like, all right, hey, can't be here till 3 a.m. Let's go.
I still want to know where my idea was of after 12 innings, you go to a swing off and go to a home run derby. I still want to know where that is. Why has that not been implemented? But maybe one day I can keep dreaming. But the other one that we were looking at, which RJ mentioned in his original discussion, he did allude to it, the 7-inning doubleheaders. Whenever a game gets canceled, whether it be COVID, whether it be weather now, they're setting up doubleheaders where they are only 7 innings. And so far, we've seen 2 no-hitters, one by the Rays and one by the Diamondbacks, that do not count because of this rule. And they are not put into the books as a no hitter. Sure, you can go down and say there was no hits in it, but you have to go all 9 for the classification. Again, another pace of play rule where they're trying to get things moving and everything such as that. But this really became this became a thing, of course, with the funky season 2020 was, and now we have these doubleheader 7-inning games. I'll start with you, Matt. Your opinion on the 7-inning doubleheaders. Where do you see this going? Are you yay or are you nay?
I'm kind of indifferent on these. They haven't given me a reason to hate them yet. The no-hitter thing, I don't think should be a reason the commissioner's office, whoever makes the rules, changes things. I don't think that should be a factor. I guess it would. Yes, I guess I would consider those no-hitters, but it's not that big enough of a deal, in my opinion, to make a whole change based on 2 games. I haven't looked at pace of play information, but I don't think it's doing that much in the long run. But overall, I'm indifferent. If they stayed, I wouldn't hate it. I had something else to add, but I've completely forgotten.
All right. Well, Jamil, you yay, nay, or you indifferent?
I agree with Matt. I'm indifferent. The rule stays. I'm not going to complain about it. If it goes, it is what it is. I think it's cool. Not cool, but I mean, Matt meant pace of play. Like, he doesn't know if it made a difference, but I'm sure for the players, it makes a little bit of a difference. A couple less innings, hour or less time on the field. So I'm indifferent about it.
RJ?
I actually like the 7-inning doubleheaders. I think we talk about player safety, things like that. This is 2 less innings. I mean, you're going to make someone play 18 innings of baseball in one day. Now, this is not a sport like hockey or football where you're taking a lot of hits and it's very physical, anything like that. I get it. But still, like, That's a long day for the human body to, go through, especially when it's August and you play outside and it's 1,000,000 degrees out in center field and you got to do it for 18 innings. Like, it's a long day. I like the 7-inning doubleheaders. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it's a problem. I will say a no-hitter is a no-hitter, period. I don't care if the game started and the game finished and there was no hits in that game. That's a no-hitter, period.
And that means a lot coming from RJ because his team got no hit by Madison Bumgarner in that 7-inning game. So there's a true opinion for you. Brandon Herrera wasn't aware of that second 7-inning no-hitter. Jamil, if I'm not mistaken, it was about like 6 different Rays pitchers combined.
Yeah, combined. It was recent. It was last week against the Indians.
Last week against the Indians.
A week and a half ago was very recent.
He also had a word to say that I missed his comment about the Texas tiebreaker. He said any free sports time is always good. Definitely love extra baseball, extra football, extra hockey. Definitely am all for the extra time, but there is a limit. With me, the 7-inning doubleheaders, I'm honestly completely okay with it. I am cool with it. And I like what RJ said about how it's easier on the players. It's going to come down, and it's going to be a big difference at the end of the day between playing 14 innings and playing 18 innings. It might not seem like a lot, but those extra 4 innings, you're almost playing another half a game because of this. And all you're doing is take away 2 innings. I don't think it really I don't think we see doubleheaders enough to really get hurt about it. Like, I don't think, obviously we just today we had a game get canceled because of COVID, Red Sox, Yankees. Sure, there may be a doubleheader there. You're going to have your weather delays, but a lot of the times people typically make up those games either later in the season or on an off day, whenever it is what it is. And so I don't hate the 7-inning doubleheaders. I don't see a reason to take them out. And honestly, I don't mind them. I don't know what it's done for pace of play. I don't know what it's done, anything like that. But I can tell you that for somebody, I feel like this is also a good thing for people who aren't necessarily into baseball as much. I think whenever you make the game shorter, obviously, everybody's concerned, the pace of play, whatever. But whenever you're making this game shorter for people who aren't necessarily as into baseball as we may be, then I think you're increasing the exposure chance to it. I think people will be more interested in these 7-inning games than they would in 9-inning games. I really do just wish, and I agree with RJ, that I really wish that no matter if it's 7, if it's 9, if it's 5, I don't care what it is. If you go start, finish, no hits, I think it should be documented as a no-hitter. We've had plenty this year already. And Madison Bumgarner and then the Rays as well, combining for their no-hitter. They don't go into the books. And yeah, it's only 7 innings, sure. But start to finish, like RJ said, you did not get a hit. And that's still impressive. I mean, even 7 innings is impressive. Don't get me wrong. Now, do I think everybody who goes 7 innings should be declared a no-hitter? No, obviously not. But if that's your game from start to finish, that's the rule. It is what it is. But I don't think it's anything to get too worked up about. And then the final rule, there's been 4 on the docket. The final rule that's up on the CBA, and this is, I think, a little bit more of a hot topic, probably up there with universal DH as well, but the banning and limiting of shifts. Now, personally, I get really heated when it comes to this topic, and I have a lot to say, but I'm a wait a minute. Matt, I saw you make a face. I really want to go to you. Yeah, you look gritty. Banning and limiting shifts. What do you say, yay or nay?
Banning shifts would be so bad for baseball. One of the great things about sports is strategy, and whether it is defensive plays in football or any playbook, anything with a playbook in any sport, or a scouting report in baseball leading to a shift, it is strategy, and it's on the hitter to hit it where they ain't. There's a famous quote out there from a very good baseball player about hitting it where they ain't. It needs to be done. It is not the defense's fault that you cannot hit to the opposite field or hit through a shift. The defense is just playing smart. They know you're a pull hitter, so they play in a fashion where they can defend against the pull well. It's like a defense in football playing a certain style, certain what's the term? A certain form, in a certain formation in order to defend against a run or a pass or a certain play. If you know that Joey Gallo is a pull hitter, you're going to shift over to the right. He's a left-handed hitter. Taking strategy out of any sport, especially baseball, takes some wind out of its sails. And I just think that would be one of the worst things you could do for baseball, is take strategy out. Because those who are real fans of the game and appreciate, a smart play, using your brain, thinking ahead, taking that out, taking that aspect away is just very counterproductive.
Reginald.
So I'm on both sides of this deal. I think having a shift, I agree with Matt. Hit it where they ain't. You get paid millions of dollars to hit a baseball. You telling me you can't hit it that way instead of that way? Come on, bud. Like, make some adjustments. That's why you got spring training. That's why you got the off season. You need to figure it out. You need to figure out how to hit them where they ain't. I get that. But as far as the strategy thing, that's not really necessarily strategy, because you still have your pitcher that's going to throw, a specific pitch, put it in a specific spot. You still have a ton of strategy as far as bunting, things like that. There's always going to be strategy in baseball and in all sports for that matter. Where I'm kind of, and this topic, like I said, I'm on both sides of it. In other sports, there are formations, like you said, Matt, but there are also regulations to those formations. In hockey, in soccer, can't be offsides. Football, defense, you can't jump off sides. Offense, you have to have a certain number of players on the line of scrimmage, things like that. Hell, in NASCAR, you can't pass anybody before you get to the start-finish line on a restart. There are certain formation rules for every sport. Why doesn't baseball have that? What shouldn't you make the second baseman stay right here? Make the shortstop stay right here. Third baseman stays right here. Everyone has their own little spot. I don't care if you got to put little X's on the baseball field to where everybody has to stand. Wouldn't that kind of make it just like the other sports that also have regulations and also kind of enforce on where you can and can't line up?
Do you think baseball needs that?
Well, they want more hits. They want more runs. When someone comes up and on the very first pitch hits into a shift and it's just a little lob from the shortstop to the first baseman and it's an out, what purpose does that serve? Now, another thing, if the second baseman has to stay in a specific spot, the shortstop, if the third baseman, whoever, everyone has their own specific spots. Wouldn't we see more fantastic defensive plays also, where the second baseman knows that this pull hitter is going to hit it over here, but he still has to stand right here. So when that ball does go that way, now he's got to bust ass and get over there real quick and make a nice throw like Nolan Arenado, or I know he's a third baseman, but, a nice defensive play, nice throw that, again, would be a highlight. And let's be real, that's what baseball wants. They want to be on SportsCenter. They want, videos trending on Twitter. They want you to see their product on the Explore page on Instagram. That's what this is about. More hits, more runs, and more exciting plays. And for more hits, more runs, and more exciting plays, you don't need a shift.
Well, I could tell you this now. Banning the shift is not going to add anything to the game in that sense. The marketing problem that Major League Baseball has is not because lack of highlights or lack of home runs or lack of strikeouts. It's simply how you market the players. There are plenty of stars in Major League Baseball. We saw them on display just a few days ago. It's what you do with the stars, how you get them out there. They make the plays. You got to get them out there. There's no need. There's not a demand for more highlights because there are already plenty of highlights in Major League Baseball. And taking the shift away will not necessarily guarantee more highlights. What you're basing this off of is you're kind of, I guess, chancing it. I don't know the exact word for it, but there's no guarantee that more diving plays will be made or more spectacular catches. There's no guarantee. And even in a shift, there are still plays like that. A shift is not always a routine play. Even if you have guys over there, it could still, take a nice sliding play or what have you to get the job done. So I wouldn't rely on the need for more of those. And I also don't like when a league kind of moves things around in order to get more ratings. I see the point in it, but it makes me kind of think of it was kind of a theory, I guess. The NBA Finals the other night, there was one big call. I can't remember who it was on, but I think it might have been Devin Booker. I think he had 5 fouls, and it was a clear foul.
Oh, yesterday. That was yesterday.
Yeah. Yes, it was a clear foul. He bodied somebody, and he would have fouled out for 6 fouls. But there was a no call, and somebody, you can only trust Twitter so much, said that they did not make the call because you want the star player to stay in the game. You want him to, stay there for the excitement factor, for the ratings. You take Devin Booker away from the Suns, you're going to lose a certain fan base, a certain number of people that are watching for Devin Booker. So I think of that way. You take away shifts. I'm not saying you're going to lose viewers for taking that away, but I'm not saying you're going to gain viewers either. I don't think that would really do anything.
I got a question for you, RJ. I know you had mentioned, kind of like drawing X's on the field and, hey, you stand here, you stand here. What if because I know you're a little bit indifferent on it. So what if we made it to where second base is your divider? Obviously, second base is right up the middle of the field and everything such as that. So the shortstop can move any way, left, right, whatever the hell. But short and third stay on the left side of second base. Second base and first stay on the right side of second base.
Absolutely.
So you can have your shortstop right up there, right up the middle, but you can't have him cross that line. Because then you say, hey, this guy pulls lefty. Maybe you still back up your second baseman to right, so he's got that extra room, but you're also moving over your shortstop just in case he goes up the middle or whatever the case. Is that something more that you'd like to see? Is that more along the lines?
Absolutely. I actually never thought of that, and that would actually be perfect because it's not fun when you've got 3 guys standing on one side of the field waiting for this guy to hit right into him and just walk to first base because he knows he's out. You put a line straight down the middle, an invisible one, obviously. I like that. 2 guys on each side of the field. I think that'd be great. But like you said, I'm not really, I don't have a strong opinion either way because, in the same breath, you get paid $20 million to hit a baseball. You need to figure out how to hit it the other way.
Jamil, where do you stand on that?
I definitely don't think it should get banned at all. I think it's definitely something that, you use it to your advantage. Like if someone's going to pull, they're raised all the time. We play 4 outfielders. Like if we're not afraid to do that, the Padres play Manny Machado literally at second base and right field. They move Will Myers to center field, and Machado plays right field and second base at the same time. But on the same token, Matt, RJ, and y'all, in our discussion, you could be onto something where you can shift, but you can only shift to a certain degree. Maybe that's something because the shift has over the past few years, it's taken over the game. It's getting more and more aggressive. Teams are doing it more and more into a higher degree. So, maybe they can regulate the shift at some point. Because I just said, baseball is the only game that doesn't have these regulations. But on the same token, that's what makes baseball baseball. It's unlike any other sport. There's no clock. There's no regulations like that. So, it's 2 sides of the same coin. Banning it, I don't think is the right move. But limiting it, I want to be angry, and I could see them doing it.
Yeah, whenever you talked about how like the shift is taking over baseball, and this is why Matt and I really differ on this guy, and I think Matt does it more as a joke just to mess with me. But Matt and I, we joke around a lot about Matt Carpenter from the St. Louis Cardinals. Not too long ago, just a couple of seasons ago, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was about 2018 when Yelich won the MVP. Matt Carpenter at a point was the hottest player in baseball. Drilling doubles. I think he had a month where he popped off 13 home runs. I think there was about 6 consecutive games in which he homered. He was the hottest man in baseball. But ever since that season where he finished his season batting around 260, you start to learn a little bit more about him, and you start to realize that he is pull heavy, and he's only going to pull. Ever since then, his batting average has never been above 225, and that's ridiculous. I am 100% on the money and this is why I say I'm passionate about this. I am 100% on the money with the RJ side of things whenever he says you get paid so much money. Like, learn how to hit the other way. How hard is it to let it get in just that extra second and pop it over to the left side? Even if they move over there, you have one person guarding the entire left side of the field. You mean to tell me you can't just be a second late and put it up the middle in between where the shortstop would normally be? Or you can't bunt it over there? You know, we've seen Rizzo do it. Whenever Rizzo was getting shifted, he dropped bunts. I think he did it like 2-3 times in a week. What's up, Jamil?
I was just about to ask you, why do y'all think players don't bunt? Do you think it's a pride thing, or do you think it's that they just believe they're going to hit it right through you or over the fence?
I almost feel like they don't have the confidence they're going to drop that bunt down. I can
see that too.
Do you think, how many players do you think bunting is practiced every single day in MLB, like practice for every single hitter?
Only pitchers.
You don't think so? Yeah.
Only pitchers and fast guys. But like, if you're making, like, if I came up to you and said, hey, I can get you on base 7 out of 10 times, you can be a 300 bunter. Like, do you think it's the pride that I'm a big lefty? Like, I'm going to hit it through that. Like, I'm going to do what I want to do. Like, I feel like for a lot of people, it is pride. Like, I'm not bunting because I think I'm going to hit it right through you. I'm going to prove to you. I'm going to beat your nerds telling you where to line up.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Matt Carpenter only beating it 19% of the time is not fun enough for me. Okay, I don't care who he thinks he is. I know who he is, and he sucks. But maybe that's just me getting mad. But yeah, no, I don't understand the idea of it. I'm personally so I love the shift from a strategy standpoint, because it really is. There's a lot of strategy in baseball in so many small ways, because yes, it is a strategy, like RJ said, to the way you pitch a batter. Obviously, you can pitch them on the outside. You can get them to try to roll one over on, say you're pitching to a right-handed batter. If you're pitching outside corner, typically a righty's going to take it over to the right side of the field, first base, second base, whatever have you. But it is also a strategy in the way that Matt said, to where, you know he's going to hit it here. So why wouldn't you put everybody here? Same thing with the Rays. He's going to pop it out into the outfield. Why not put 4 outfielders out there? This guy doesn't hit ground balls. We already know this. So I really think that if you get paid that much money, you should really be able to not necessarily do it all, but how hard is it to spray a ball across the field? Whenever I played baseball, and I never played at a high level, I quit playing after high school. But even then, we had coaches who would have us drill 2 to left, 2 to center, and 2 to right. And that would be part of our batting. That was just part of it. And I don't know if that's just a lost art. Now it's just, hey, who cares? Put it over the fence. You can bat 200, lead the league in strikeouts, and hit 40 bombs, and you're going to get paid. Shout out Joey Gallo, shout out Javi Baez, shout out so many names. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lost art in baseball when it comes to hitting, because you should be able to spray it around the field. Like, nobody should be only a pull hitter. Like, that should just not happen. I don't know, but that's a lot of things to gather about that. The CBA is going to be coming up here at the end of the season. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of conversations to be had. Now, obviously, with a new CBA, I guess we could talk about this just really quick. Always a chance of a lockout. Do you think that the MLBPA, after seeing what happened in 2020, after seeing how long it took MLB and the MLBPA and everything like that to try to piece everything together just to finally get a 60-game season, do you think there's a chance of a lockout? Do you think that this is something where the players and the owners, there's going to be some type of rule that they're just not going to find, and we might have another shortened baseball season next year? Matt, I'll start with you.
I think we can all agree that there is a very good chance of a lockout. There are so many current rules and topics that the Players Association and the league are not the same on. Foreign substances, the texture of the baseballs, runners on second to start extras, 7-inning doubleheaders, everything we've mentioned and more are all in question, and not to mention any financial issues between teams and the league. Many teams suffer losses from COVID that they said they wouldn't be able to recover from for a couple of seasons. Obviously, fans being back helps now, but we don't know where teams are at on that. I haven't heard any discussion on that. I think there's a very good chance we do have a lockout or something like that.
RJ, Jamil, anything to add?
I definitely think there's a chance because I think they are far off. But at the end of the day, I think the players want to get paid, and you can't get paid if you're not playing. I think there's so much money involved that you really can't. And with the way the sport's going, like you really can't afford to lock out right now.
RJ?
Yeah, I agree. As bad as last year was, to where we didn't even think we were going to have a season at one point. At least I didn't. These two sides can't get along, or they can't figure it out. They can't come up with a deal. I think there's a great chance we have a lockout next year.
I wouldn't be shocked to see it happen, unfortunately.
But
RJ, welcome. This is your first time on GM's Live, so
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna give you a little individual segment that Matt shot me. Matt shot me a little topic, and I want to hear what your opinion is on it. So anybody who doesn't know, this is our resident NASCAR guy. This is our Dale Earnhardt Jr. What are you doing? I'm sorry. This is what happens on Jamil's camera when he's not.
NASCAR, dog. We're driving.
Hey, I get what you're doing. I get it. So Matt sent me this, and Matt found out that Kurt Busch from NASCAR is saying that he doesn't know where he's going to sign next year. So give me your opinions on where you think would be the best spot for Kurt Busch next season.
Oof. Well, the best spot for Kurt Busch would probably be to just stay where he's at. Team Trackhouse, owned by Justin Marks and actually Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide. They bought out Chip Ganassi Racing a couple weeks ago. They are going to have Daniel Suarez as one of their drivers next year, but they don't know who that second driver is going to be. Now, I don't want it to be Kurt Busch. I think it should be Ross Chastain, who drives the other car currently for Chip Ganassi Racing. Ross Chastain is a lot younger. He will be around a lot longer. Kurt Busch is already 42 years old. I think if you are starting a team like Trackhouse is, you want to build for the future. Daniel Suarez is young. Ross Chastain is young. That makes the most sense to have two young guys to build with for the future. There's the 2311 thing. Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin have said that they want to add a second car. I thought I knew who was going to be in that car, and I thought it was going to be Harrison Burton, who's currently an Xfinity driver. But the news broke today that Harrison Burton will be moving up to the Cup Series next year to take the Wood Brothers ride that was piloted by Matt DiBenedetto. So Harrison Burton won't be in that ride. I do ultimately think Kurt Busch will end up at 2311 with Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. I don't know why. I have this gut feeling that that's where he's going to go. And honestly, if it's not 2311 and if he doesn't stay at Trackhouse, I really don't know what Kurt Busch's options are. Now, Kurt Busch is a good race car driver. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. He just won this past weekend. He's locked himself into the playoffs. But there's not a lot of rides opening up. So Kurt Busch is going to have to come up with something. He's going to have to figure it out. Ultimately, I think it'll be 2311. This silly season, this free agency, whatever you want to call it, this offseason that NASCAR is about to have, this is going to be the most tumultuous, unpredictable, crazy, whatever you want to call it offseason that I think we've ever seen in NASCAR. Fair
enough. 2311, maybe joining Denny Hamlin and whatever this is.
I'm trying to do the 2311, baby.
You could be up there teammates with Bubba Wallace.
Denny Hamlin, kicking it, smoking cigars, riding down Talladega. I by high noon.
I need to see this. Now
I think we're on to something. RJ, let's talk about this, man. We got to talk to the people.
We'll talk business when this ends. We'll talk business.
We got to get in this NASCAR game.
Absolutely.
Hey, Matt's got you in the NASCAR game on his video game. I mean, RJ's already up there. He's working his way. Wow. And I watched Talladega Nights last night, so I think we're all NASCAR friendly right now. But shake and bake, baby. But all righty, guys. Obviously, I think we got into a good discussion there, but we're wrapping up here on the final minutes. So in classic fashion, final thoughts. Everybody's got 30 seconds to a minute to give us your final thoughts on some either sports topics going on or just you want to talk about life for a minute. So Jamil, I'm actually going to start with you. You got your final thoughts.
Final thoughts, man. Back to me. I'm gonna stick with the racing thing, but not NASCAR. F1. My dog Lewis Hamilton. He's going for a big win this weekend. Back at home at Silverstone in England. We need Lewis to get back on track in that one.
All righty, Matt. Final thoughts.
Short. WWE stuff. Bailey tore ACL in training. She's out 9 months. If you do the math, 9 months, it's around April, which is a little late, but it's around WrestleMania season. It would be a very exciting return if she came back at WrestleMania. But we wish her the best in her recovery. Big interview dropping for us tomorrow. A 16-year MLB veteran pitcher. I joined him he joined me for an interview. Really, it was a great honor, great interview. Definitely check it out if you have the opportunity tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss it.
Perfect. RJ, final thoughts.
Well, today actually started college football media days. The Big 12 had their media days. The SEC and the ACC are coming up. Big 10, Pac-12, everybody's doing it. It's college football season, everybody. This is talking season. That's what Steve Spurrier called it. That's what I'm going to call it. The head ball coach knows what's up. College football season is back, and me and Jamil are going to have you guys covered. Matt wants to talk about future videos coming out. Me and Jamil got a whole bunch of college football videos coming to y'all. We're going to break down every single conference. We're going to give y'all predictions for each conference and for the college football playoff and the New Year's Six bowl games.
Perfect. All righty. Final thoughts, folks, for me. I think it all comes to the NBA right now. Right now, the NBA is the hottest thing right now, and it's currently tied 2-2. Give me Suns in 7. I'm still sticking to it. I've said it since the beginning. Give me Suns in 7. I'm still committed. Even though the Bucks are hot right now, Bucks have winners of 2 straight. But I don't know. Shout out to this man, Matt Perry, down here. This man is our resident Bucks fan and our resident Giannis fan. And I'm sorry, Matt, but I just can't do it. I can't believe in your team enough to do it. I've said Suns in 7 since the beginning, and I have the chance to be right about something when it comes to the NBA. And if that's the case, I'm taking advantage of it. I will continue to say it until my dying day or until the Bucks win the series. So until then, Suns in 7. But that'll be it for GMs for Hire. GMs Live yet again, the 3rd episode here on the Coast to Coast Network. You can also catch us on our YouTube channel at GMs for Hire and all of our social medias, which is actually scrolling right there. Follow us on all social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all at GMs for Hire. You can catch us there with any updates or anything that we have going on, regardless of videos, whether it be Jeopardy videos, Hall of Fame case, interviews, whatever the case. All GM's content can be found there, and you're not going to want to miss it out because we have been getting quite the content recently. A lot of interviews, a lot of things going on here in the GM's realm. So for everybody who came and joined us and was in the comment section today, thank you, of course, per usual. But until next time, we will catch you later. Y'all, take it easy.